So, welcome to ChatGPT. We're going to talk about the learning of this, whether it's for students, whether it's for teachers. So, is it all bot or is it your brains? So, we're going to find out. And looking at the poll, it looks like a majority of you have heard of it, but you have never used it. So, we will go through the process of creating accounts. So we will make sure you guys all have accounts before you leave today. We will create those with your school Google Gmail accounts. And it looks like a few of you have dabbled in it a little bit. So, that's good. I've dabbled in it a little bit too. So, we'll see what we can go with, and hopefully we can share some ideas. And I went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and there was a lot of there was a lot of different ideas how teachers are using it. So, I'm going to try to present things. I tried to look, to see what you guys were teaching and so forth, so I can kind of come up with some ideas that can help you. But you're going to be the best judge for how this can help you and or your students. So I'm just going to present some ideas to you, and you guys can run with them. So I'm going to end the poll here. Um, we'll look at the results. So if you guys wanted to see the results, it looked like a majority of you have heard of it, but have not used it. I'll take it slow. And again, if you guys have questions, things like that, make sure you get those put into the chat and I will try to answer those. Okay. So you guys should be seeing my screens, Chat GPT. I'm going to show you guys a quick little video here. And you know what? Let me stop my screen share here a second. I think I did, but I just want to confirm that I shared it with uh, audio. I did. Okay. So you guys should still be seeing it. To me, this is just a funny little video. I wanted to show you. I'm a Friends enthusiast, and this one just happened to come to mind when I was going to teach this class. So it's just a couple minutes, so we'll watch it and then we'll discuss this.
The adoption agency needs letters of recommendation, and we were wondering if you would write one for us.
Of course, I'd be honored.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think there's been an oversight. Joe, we would have asked you. We just thought you wouldn't be interested.
Just that we don't think of you as really being so much with the words.
Wait, oh, hey.
Clearly, we were wrong.
Look, I got a lot of nice stuff to say about you guys, okay? And I know how much you want to have a baby, and I would love to help you get one.
You know what? Enjoy. We want you to do it.
Thank you. All right, let me see how I'm going to start. Dear baby adoption decider people.
So excited about your letter.
What you working on?
Oh, Monica and Chandler's recommendation. I want it to sound smart, but I don't know any big words or anything, so.
Well, why don't you use your thesaurus?
What'd I just say?
Watch. Here, you highlight the word you want to change, go under tools, and the thesaurus gives a whole list of choices. You can pick the word that sounds smartest.
Oh, my God, that's great. I'm smart. No, I'm brainy, bright, clever. I love this thing. Look out, ladies. Joey Tribbiani's got the whole package. Hey, finish my recommendation. Here. And I think you'll be very, very happy.
I don't, understand.
Some of the words a little too sophisticated for you.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, of course it does. It's smart. I used a thesaurus.
On every word?
Yep.
All right. What was this sentence originally?
Oh, They are warm, nice people with big hearts.
And that became their human prepossessing Homo sapiens with full-sized aortic pumps.
Yeah, and hey, I really mean it, dude.
Right, Joey, I don't think we can use this.
Why not?
Well, because you signed it Baby Kangaroo Tribbiani. Hey, why don't you stop worrying about sounding smart and just be yourself?
You know what? You don't need a thesaurus. Just write from here. Your full-sized aortic pump.
So that leads me into my next question here. So again, it's just a play on tools that we have available. And, you know, as things are going, they're advancing in technology. Are we embracing things? Are we teaching students how to use it correctly? What are we doing with these? These are some tools that we have had. Are these acceptable? Just like, we're looking at Chat GPT for student use and or for teacher use. So we've had things. We've had spell check. We've had, grammar suggestions. That's been built into Microsoft Word for years. It's been in our Google Docs as we're, typing. The thesaurus, or as Joey calls it, the thesaurus, that's been available, helping students, create new words and change things and make things more sophisticated. The Explore tool built into our Google Docs to allow students to search right there on their screen while they're working in, doc sheets or slides. They can copy and paste right from those websites that the Explore tool populates right then and there. And not only does it allow them to, have access to that, but it'll also cite the source for them that they're using. So, it's automatically creating that source for them, and they're not always using their brains. It's being created by the computer. Grammarly has been around for years. It checks, the grammar, it checks spelling, it can check for plagiarism. So it's been around, free version and pay for version. Khan Academy is helping with videos and helping students with math problems and all kinds of different things. Some, apps and extensions we have. Outright, which used to be grade proof, that helps with writing things in proper English and so forth. Wikipedia has been around. Remember when that came out and it was like, oh, we're not going to let students use it because, it's not always reliable. Well, is it reliable now, or is that a starting point for students to start some of their research, then to find out if it is a reliable source by going to other sites to compare dates, to compare information? Back in the day when I was in school, we had Cliff Notes. Well, Cliff Notes are now online. Students can get those for books and novels that they're reading. And Spark Notes is very similar to Cliff Notes, which is an online um, website as well. And then Photomath is an app that students can take pictures of their math problems, and it can help them solve the problem. So, we have all these tools that are available to the students. Chat GPT is just another one that not only, can help them, but we need to teach them how to properly use it, and, to use it in a way that is going to help them in their education, not hinder their education. So, is it plagiarism? Is it cheating? Or is it just using what is available to them as a resource? Once these students get out into the world, are they going to be using some of these services, these resources to help them in the careers that they have picked? So we're going to look here at a few things, and I'm going to get your opinion of where you think um, that this tool, this Chat GPT, should be used to. Some people say, nope, not at all. It's completely cheating. And then others are like, yes, I'm going to embrace it. We're going to teach them how to use it, how to help proofread, how to help benefit them with their writing, with the things that they are doing. So let's look at this. Yes, we need to teach our students the foundation of basic grammar, basic writing skills. But as they are getting older and they're writing more and more, what is the right balance to allow them to use some of these applications or some of these resources that are out there and available to them on the web? So we're going to kind of look at these, and I want you to think which one is your breaking point. You're like, nope, they can't go any further than this. So we're going to start and look through these. So the student wrote all the assignment content without consulting AI. And when I say AI, I'm artificial intelligence, which is ChatGPT, or the internet. Now, very rarely do the students not consult the internet for information. They are not just going to the library or, reading newspaper articles or magazine articles to get their information. But that might be what you want them to do. That might be an assignment that they have. So this is that bottom choice. Next, the student wrote a complete document, then submitted it to AI for feedback. The student made some edits according to the feedback and submitted it. Okay. Not bad. The next one, the student consulted the internet and or AI for ideas, then wrote and submitted the final. The student wrote the main idea and plugged them into AI. AI generated a draft and offered feedback to improve it. The student plugged a prompt into AI and generated multiple responses. Then the student used the best parts, edited, and submitted. Students plugged a prompt into AI. The AI created the response. The student read it, edited it, adjusted it, and submitted it. And then the student plugged the prompt into AI, then copied the response and submitted it. Okay, so you can see as it goes up, it gets a little bit more, um, a little bit more intense of how they're using AI. So let's look at this balance here, which is the right balance. So where would you cut yourself off at with your students being able to use AI in assignments in your classroom? And one being at the bottom, they're not using any type of AI or internet, and 7 being they're just copying and pasting.
Shelley, can I say something before I
Sure.
answer this? I guess as I'm looking at that, it kind of depends on the assignment that they're doing.
Good.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
When you read all of those to us, it kind of made me think of Bloom's higher level of thinking skills, where I don't know, the ones at the top are more knowledge based and gathering information, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Especially if you're talking about a topic that you know very little about. Like, I mean, I'll admit I know very little about ChatGPT, what it is. And so I would need to do a lot of research on that. Where I guess the question when you say is the right balance, would I grade it at that point? Is that what you're asking?
Correct. Well, and that's actually my next train of thought is we need to reteach thinking a little bit. So yes, a student can just copy and paste a prompt that you give them, but now we might have to say, instead of just saying, summarize the story or what is the plot of the story, now we might have to add some extra things in there so they are actually thinking of it differently. Or maybe they are going to copy and paste that response that the AI has produced, but now you want them to rewrite it differently with their thoughts and how they can make it better versus just copying and pasting from AI, because AI can only do so much.
Right.
There's that student interaction and that student's response that we still need. So Yes, this can all be based on the assignment and what it is, but, some teachers are very afraid, or, they don't want any of that AI to be helping these students, but in the long run, it could be helping them because now they're looking at the responses that has been bot generated. And like step number 5 is they are pulling pieces and parts out of different responses to create their own. So they are using their mind, they are using what is created from AI, but they're putting different things together to create their own work.
Thank you.
Mhm. And looking at the chat, a lot of you're at the lower level, and that's completely fine. We don't necessarily want our students just copying and pasting. Like I said earlier, we had Wikipedia come out, however many, it feels like zillion years ago. And it was like, oh, kids, don't use that, don't look at that. But we built from that, and this is the same thing, and we need to teach our students, hey, you can't just copy and paste, into, a Google document. And we'll talk about that later. I'll show you how to that students can um, copy the information. Obviously, they're going to put it into a Google document. And we're going to use our resources that we have as teachers, such as that version history, so we can check to see if they are copying huge and pasting huge parts of the information from ChatGPT. Okay, so thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. That was presented to me, and I just thought it was a good way to look at things and kind of where you're thinking as a teacher, and what you would think is acceptable for a student. Okay, moving on. So, who is ChatGPT for? Well, like I said several times, students and teachers. So, students are using this. One, some are using it to cheat because they're procrastinating, they're not typing their paper, so they're trying to get the quickest response. Um, but it can also be used for proofreading and feedback. So maybe the student is creating their own, but it's a weekend, or we know students, they work on it in the middle of the night because they wait till last minute. So you're not available for feedback, but ChatGPT is, and it could give them the feedback they need to have that corrected and submitted by the deadline needed. They can use it to compare and contrast. So whether it's stories, whether it's articles, whatever it might be, um, you know, it, you can use it to compare and contrast. You can use it to simplify text. So maybe they're reading an article, maybe you have a special ed student, and you've given an article for the students to read, and there's some big words in it. They can use it to simplify. So they can, have it summarized. So instead of, having, 10 paragraphs of text, now they, have summarized it into just a couple, to make it easier for those students. So whether they're with you in the classroom or they're at home, this is a tool that they can use to help, different reading passages or articles that you have provided. So teachers, a lot of you might not have thought that this could be used as a teaching tool, but GPT does a lot. It will create lesson plans for you, breaking it down minute by minute. Basically telling you exactly what you should be doing in the class, or and what tools that you need. It'll help you generate writing prompts for your students, whether it's based on a novel or it's based on a topic in science or math, and you want the students to write on that topic. You can use this for differentiation. Just like I said, the students can use it to simplify or summarize. You can also have articles and you can break it down, and say, instead of it being at the 10th grade level, summarize this at the 7th grade level. Or you can use Lexile scores. It allows you to put in the Lexile levels, for the summaries. So, it could be at different levels for your students. It'll help you create questions. So if you want to generate quizzes, whether it's, questions for a quiz, maybe it's a question that you're going to put in something like Kahoot or quizzes, it can help you generate those multiple choice questions. I know I always was fine creating the question and the answer, but it was coming up with those 3 wrong answers that I struggled with. So this is a quick, easy way to help with that. It'll also allow you to say, maybe you want 5 multiple choice questions and 2 extended response questions. It's going to create that for you and generate, different options that you have. Create summaries of articles, things like that, so it can shorten longer things for you, and it can help you with goals and objectives. So if you work with special ed kids and you need to create a goal for one of your students, maybe they're struggling with fractions or some type of math facts, it can help you generate those goals. Okay, but most importantly, whoever is using it, whether it's a student, whether it's a teacher, the most important thing is that you fact check. So it needs to be checked over by a human being. So, whether it's the student looking at it, whether it's you need to make sure that the questions that it asks, the responses that it gives are correct. Okay, so I'm gonna jump out of here real quick and we're gonna get into Chat GPT. So if you go to Google, it is called OpenAI, but if you just type in Chat GPT, it should be the first choice. So it's called chat.openai.com. So that is the correct one. So if you don't have an account, we're going to create one. If you do have an account, you can get signed in, but I want to make sure you're at the correct site. Then when you are signing in, and I'm already signed in, but when you are signing in, I think it asks you if you want to sign in. One of your options is to sign in with Google. That is my suggestion, and hopefully you are signed in with your Google account. So I am signed in with my TCCSA account. Um, so you would want to sign in with your school account. And then it's going to ask you a couple different things. It's going to ask you your name. Okay, so that's going to show how it's displayed. So you can see in the bottom left corner how mine is displayed. Actually, before your name, it's going to confirm that it's okay that your account it's available for OpenAI. Then once you confirm your Google account, it'll ask your name, it'll ask your birthday. You have to be over 13. And of course we are. It used to be 18. I think they dropped it down to 13. And then you do have to verify by phone. So it will send you a text just to make sure you are human and not a robot. Isn't that funny coming from a bot service? So I'll give you guys a second to get those accounts created. Okay, while the rest of you are finishing up getting your accounts, I want to share a few things before we actually start creating stuff and sending the message. So first off, your screen is broken down into 2 areas. You have your chat list over on the side. So if you look on the left-hand side, these are all the different topics or chat sessions that I have going on. And you can also see up at the top, you have the plus new chat. So that creates a new session that you have. This little button here does close that little window. So if it does disappear, don't panic. Just click on it again and it brings it back open. This is my chat area. So this is where your responses are going to populate once you start sending messages to Chat GPT. I know it's weird. They call them chats here. They say send a message here. To me, I would say send a chat, but they say send a message. So all of the content will then populate in this screen. Before we start looking at some of my examples that I have, down in the bottom left corner is your name. So if you signed in with your Google account, it's going to have your little Google picture so you can see mine matches in both areas. But you have those three little dots that allows you to go into your settings. And then, of course, they have right here the upgrade to plus. We are working in the free version, which is the GPT 3.5. And I'm only going to stay in that version. I am not, it is a little costly. It is $20 a month if you do want to get the plus version. But we're going to look at those settings real quick. There's a couple things that I do want to share in here. So if I go to my settings, I have two areas, my general and my data control. My general is going to allow me to look at my screen differently. Excuse me. So right now my center is light. I can change that to the dark theme if I wanted to, or switch back and forth. So that's just kind of how your screen looks. And then if I wanted to clear all my chats that are over here on the side, so like if I was done teaching today and I'm like, nope, don't need those anymore, I can clear them all and it's going to wipe those out. My data controls, this is going to manage anything that I've shared. So I, of course, shared something so I can show you guys what it looks like when you share, but it's going to show any links that you have shared and what the chat name was that you shared. And I can delete that if I need to. Um, so that is listed there as well. Then if I'm like, okay, I had everything prepped for today, I have all my examples that I wanted to show you, I can export this data. I will show you that in a little bit as well, but I can export this so that I have a list of all my chat topics through ChatGPT that I can use for reference at a later date. Okay, because it does organize these by when you are working on them. So if you look at the first one that I have down here in April, so I'm going to click on this. This takes me back into the chat that I had. So I said a summary of Chat GPT for education. So this was the summary that it created. It was 3 paragraphs long. But if you remember when you signed up, I did put some of that information in there. That is how I created the description for this class. So I asked ChatGPT to do that for me. And I summarized their summary just because we only are limited in so much room. So that was the first one. But if I add anything to this at all, it is then going to change it from my April in my timeline and it'll populate it into today. Um, is it is it a different color that yours looks different or is it just blank? Because does yours just look like this at the beginning? Double check your website, make sure it's chat.openai.com. And again, if maybe your sidebar got closed or the colors might be different based on your settings. But as long as that's the website, the chat.openai.com. Okay. So so a few other things that I want to show you. So I'm gonna bring over another screen. So I have this one here, AI in education. So basically, what I said was teaching with AI. I wasn't detailed. I wasn't precise at all. You will notice the more precise that you get, the more details and the more accuracy you will get. So I just made this pretty vague. So one of my tips to you is going to be more be precise when asking your questions. Include things such as the grade level, include things such as maybe if it's a novel, include chapters, or characters. If it's a lesson plan, include things, such as, how long you want it to last, or, include the topic and what you want involved in it, whether you want stations or whether you want a quiz or a worksheet created. um, Again, be precise, be detailed. So I just used a generic one so I can show you. So um, so as this was created, a few things first. So again, I already have these created to show you. We will start creating our own here in a minute. But once this is created, if this is something that I like, I can click here on my little copy button, and it's going to copy that. Then I can go up and open up a Google Doc, and I'm just going to do the shortcut docs.new. So once I clicked on that clipboard, it had copied it for me. I can do a Control V to paste, and then here is all the information. So while I'm here, this is where you need to check with your students. So if they're turning things in through Google Classroom, if I look at my version history, which now my version history is over on the right side, if I click on that, it's going to show me, well, here is my original document. And then boom, this is all the stuff I created. At that point in time that it was directly copied and pasted from ChatGPT. Okay, there's no editing involved in here, anything. It was just a copy and paste. Okay. So my other option of what I can do is I can edit my chat name. So I called it Teaching with AI. Notice it renamed it AI in Education. I'm okay with that. That's fine. But if you do not like this name, you can modify this. So if I click on the name over here, it allows, for one of my examples, I called it Proofread. So if you needed something a little bit more detailed so you know what it is, you can come in here um, and type something extra. So I wanted to add a little extra to that, and I click on the check mark to save it. My other option is I can share this. So if this maybe it generated a lesson plan, something that you want to share with others. I can share this out, and it shares a link. You can send it via email. So it creates a link, but it creates the article or the chat results. And you can see it's the shared chat, and it populates exactly what I am seeing. Okay. So now if I share this with another teacher, or maybe I've shared it with students, I can say, click on this conversation. And as long as I have an account, I can continue this conversation with the person that sent. Okay, so let's look at some of these things. So anytime this part, you can see my face, that is what I have typed in the send a message. Okay, so my first one that I created was here. So I was very simple. So this is what they call a chat session. Okay, so you can see setting of To Kill a Mockingbird. So it created the setting. And then I'm like, that's a lot. And then I said, rewrite at an 8th grade level. So notice how it shortened the summary that it had gave me about the setting. So now it's even shorter. Okay. Then this is where you can also notice that because I am in the same chat session, I don't have to say To Kill a Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird, or I can say the novel, or I can say it, because I'm still staying within my same chat session. So I said rewrite at 8th grade level, or I can say rewrite at a Lexile level. Then I'm like, well, write a multiple choice question for an 8th grade student. So it creates one. Now I can even add on more. And you can see I didn't do anything with this since yesterday, so it's been sitting there. Create a quiz. Most of my prompts I do have copy, so I can copy and paste. And one. So it's going to take a second. It's going to create those questions for me, and as well as an extended response. Okay. If you don't like the results of it, you can always click on regenerate and it will regenerate more. Okay. And then notice it didn't give me the answers. So now it's giving me those answers. Okay, so again, it's just like talking back and forth with a person. You're just talking with a bot. Okay. So that's one example. That's again helping you. So I'm going to go through, and I have to find this because I have this example to show you guys. Okay, so let me pull this over. So this is my daughter is going to be a freshman this year. And she's taking honors English. So of course they have summer reading to do and so forth. So this was her assignment that she had, and she did this legitimately. But I also did it. I asked her if I can use this because I want to show the ways of a student using it in a good way, and then a student just using it to create and generate something that the bot generated. So they had to read this story, a separate piece, and of course, they had to read it. They have to create a document and then answer one of the 3 questions. So here are the 3 questions. Okay, so of course, they're going to write it in essay format with an introduction, paragraph, body, and conclusion. So here is the one that she created. Okay, so she used this one. So if a student is going to be deceitful and, they waited till last minute, which she kind of did. She gave me 2 days notice and a lot of proofreading and so forth in those getting down to the wire. But if a student waits till last minute, they can just take this and copy and paste it. But notice they do have to think a little bit about this. So I'm going to copy this. Let me minimize this and I'm going to create a new chat. Okay. So if I just said this, okay, it doesn't know what the novel is because I'm in a new chat. So the setting of the novel. So I need to make sure that I'm including that. And then I got to find it again. I have way too many windows open. Sorry about that. And then it says it wants an essay with an introduction paragraph, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. So I can even include that in my chat. So defending my reasoning with an introduction paragraph, a body paragraphs, and conclusion paragraph. Okay, so again, I'm being very detailed. Okay, so if I click on this, I can click on that and it's going to start generating this. Notice over here on the side, it says new chat. That's the one I'm working on. As it is creating this, you can see that it's generating. I can stop if I'm like, oh, this isn't, what I need. And then it's automatically going to name this. You'll see, give it a second, and it automatically named it for me. Okay. So again, if I took this and I copied and pasted it, if a teacher is using that version history, they're going to see this. But a student still needs to proofread it and make sure that things line up, that it sounds at the age level that is appropriate. Um, so we'll see how much it shortens it. It'll shorten it some. Shortened it a lot. But you can see you can just have it keep regenerating and recreating that. So again, a students might say, hey, I want to cheat and look at this, but they have to provide some of those details in the message that they're sending to the bot in order to get the results that they want. They can regenerate and regenerate. And one of those options that I showed you earlier was take the best pieces from the results that they're getting to mash it all together to create the essay that is going to be best for them. Now, let me go back to Kerrigan's assignment here. So that was doing it the incorrect way, just copying and pasting and letting it generate. So this was Kerrigan's piece. Okay, so the teacher still has. I'm just going to show you the version history, but the teacher still has access to it. So what I can do here is she wrote this, okay, and I'm going to copy this. And then I can go back. So the student themselves wrote it. I'm going to create a new chat. So we're going to say we're going to call this one bot generated. Okay. I'm going to create a new chat. And then a tip, if you want to drop down to a new line, it is Shift and Enter. And I'm going to say paste. The only thing that I don't like with this, so it does go through and it'll look for grammar and so forth. It does not highlight what it is suggesting the corrections are. So the student would have to compare and contrast what they wrote compared to what is being populated. So again, the student is then using their mind and looking back and forth to be able to look at that and compare those. Okay. So that's one way a student can use it to get some feedback from themselves. Let's see. I want to see here. I had some already created, so you guys don't have to sit there and listen or watch it type. Okay, so this was another one that I did, and again, it was the same. It was the same paragraph or the essay that Kerrigan wrote, but this time I said provide feedback for the essay written for the separate piece based on the question. Then I also put the question that was provided by the teacher, and then I pasted her essay. And then it said, overall, the essay provides decent analysis, blah, blah, blah. Then it gives feedback. So it provides that feedback. I did have a language arts teacher look over this. So like grammar and stuff wasn't bad, but I let it be in her writing and let her do this. But you can see how it breaks it down. And shows here, even, talking about citation. So include, those page numbers in parentheses to provide the proper citation and so forth. So it's another way the students can use this as feedback for themselves. So whether they're working on it on a weekend, after school or, in the middle of the night, they can get some of that feedback in a good way. It's not cheating, it's not plagiarizing, it's getting some feedback. Now they have to go back through their paragraph and make those corrections. Okay. So I want to show you a few other things, what you can do. So I have some other examples that I just want to show you because I know we're starting to run out of time a little bit. Um, but here are different things that you can ask your students. Write an IEP goal for a student who struggles with division. Now, I was pretty vague on this one. I said eighth grade and division, so it looks at the eighth grade level of the student. So a student might not be doing, a multi-digit numbers at this point in time, but you would know your students, but you can actually ask for goals and notice not only does it put a goal, it also puts different objectives that you might be able to use. And again, am I cheating by using this? No, but I might be able to reword it and be like, oh, I like how they worded this, and I can add um, customized or detailed information about my specific student to something that it has suggested. Um, Next, it does not necessarily only have to be language arts. It could be history, it could be science. So this was create a lesson on obtuse triangles for 10th grade students. So this is an example of a lesson plan. So it breaks it down for the grade level. Here are the objectives. It's approximately 45 to 50 minutes. It tells you what materials that you are going to need, and then it breaks it down into different areas and approximately how long it's going to take. Now, then I can say, I can even put that within my original question if I wanted to, but you can see I put in here create, 5-question quiz with the extended response, and then it also provided me the answers. Okay, so again, don't think that it just has to be language arts. It could be multiple subject areas. You can also have it create tables. So, you can have it create tables, with y- the periodic table. You can have it with dog breeds and, sizes and things like that. So, again, a lot of information that it could provide you. It doesn't necessarily just have to be language arts. The beginning of the year is stressful for a lot of teachers, so we're trying to get everything ready. We think we have all summer to prepare for stuff, but today's August 1st, and it's school starting soon, so you can even have it generate a welcome letter. So notice that I said create a welcome letter for the specific school year for the parents of sixth grade students, and then it provides some information. So maybe you don't have an orientation day or you call it open house like most of us do. You can change those things and add the things that you want or take out, or maybe you have a class website that you want to provide in there. This is just giving you a generalized chunk of information that you can use to help generate your own. An example that you can use at the beginning of the school year, 3 ideas for eighth grade students to get to know them at the beginning of the school year. So it's just generating different activities that you can do with your students. So again, it's maybe you don't like any of them. You can regenerate and see what it comes up with, the next time, or, maybe have it, choose 5 different ones so the kids can, and you can make a choice board out of them. So you can, create in a Google slide the different options that they have, that goes to the details in what project that they can create at the beginning of the school year. So I do have some prompts that I was just going to show you. Um, so let me copy and paste some of these. So just so you guys can see them. So again, these could be for you. This could be for the student. So maybe you have a special ed student that's struggling reading one of your books. Um, to Kill a Mockingbird is my daughter's next book that she's reading, and so that one was on my mind as well. But you could, or a student could actually summarize it. So I could put, summarize To Kill a Mockingbird in 3 to 5 sentences. So maybe I just want to get a short clip of it. I can click on that, It's going to generate it in, just a few sentences, and it's going to name it what it thinks. So it says school trouble. I might want to rename it, chapter 2 summary. Okay. So yeah, so be mindful, and as you're working on this, check what it is creating for your chat list. And again, these are arranged by the order that you've worked on them. Okay, so they will change if you're adding more to it. Notice if I click on this, but I don't add to the chat message, then it will stay in April. But as soon as I add to it, it will bounce up to today. Okay. Um, you can have it create flashcards. So, if you want flashcards, oh, and I did not. Oh, right there. See, I have these all in, the order changes, so it's hard to sometimes remember where everything is. But so I had this create multiple choice questions based on the story, and then I had it create 5 reading comprehension questions from the original text, so it provided those. I had it create a list of vocabulary words. So I might not want 20 vocabulary words. I might only want 5 or 10 for the week. Or, maybe I might say create a list of vocabulary words from chapter 7. And it, will populate those based on that. And then I forgot to ask for the answers to this question, but because I am in the same chat session, it allows me to still answer it. And notice I didn't have to say, from the novel or anything like that. I was just able to say, create the answers to the 5 comprehension questions, because it's going to look back and say, well, you already asked for that. So I know to answer that based on the chat session. Okay, a couple more things. So I'm going to switch back to my Google slide. Oh, let me show you the export real quick. So I showed you here in the settings before I switch back to my Google Slides. If I liked everything that I did today, and I don't want to lose anything, I can click on the export. So this will export it. It will export it into an email. So what it does, give me a second to bring that over. So it creates a zip file with all of your chat list. So it's going to be in there so you can get back to it at any time. So I would have to download it. It would create a I do have these all populated. It's going to create a zip file, and then you will see all my chat log is in here. So I know it looks weird, but that is the chat log that I had prior to the start of class today. So it wasn't as large because I didn't have as much stuff as I do now, but then I can extract it, and then I would have all that information. Okay. So you can have details, or you can share with somebody else. Maybe, there's 2 of you working on something and you want to share the information that you got from ChatGPT. Okay. If you do by some chance want to delete your account, maybe you create it with your personal account today and you're like, I do want to go back in, create it with my school Gmail. You can delete your account from here. And then also remember, under general, I can clear all the chats, and it's going to clear everything out of here. So back in my Google Slides, so a few things, a few tips that I want to show you. I talked about the shift enter. This allows you to drop down a line when you are in your send a message box. So you can just put a space if you are, putting the question with an essay. if you want feedback. But if you want it a little clearer, so there's that gap in between where the question you state and the essay you want it to provide feedback for, use that shift enter key. Be precise when you are asking your questions. So you saw that some of mine are very detailed, creating a lesson that teaches sixth grade students the concept of fractions, provide 10 questions in an extended response question for a quiz, or, whatever it might be. Be precise when you are asking what you want. And then as long as you are continuing within the same section and not always clicking on that plus new chat, you can replace it to replace the subject. So you don't have to keep stating, in the novel or in the, original text or in the essay, you can just say it, or, provide a summary, and it's whatever was in that subject or what the subject was in that chat area. It's going to, it will know. Rename your chats to keep them organized, just so you know what they are, because again, sometimes they are a little bit difficult to understand what they are because it renames them for you. Always use age or grade level to have it explain things, or say explain as a child, or explain as a fourth grade student, or explain as a 12th grade student. You can use Lexile levels, but it's going to populate or generate the response differently based on the age grade level that you're using. Or if you say explain as an adult, it's going to be different than if you say explain as a child. And then use tone or emotion. So you can say, use this as a formal, create this as a formal email, or, you can say show anger. So if you're trying to respond something, in response to something that was negative, you can use that tone or emotion when you are asking for that response. Okay. So just a few little tips, and then a few resources for you right at the end. Common Sense Media has a lesson for high school students about plagiarism and using AI. So if you've never used Common Sense, um, media, they have all the worksheets, the lessons, everything is already created for you, and it's free of charge. Common Lit, again, is another one that is free of charge. They have something called AI writing check, through quill.org. I haven't found it to be accurate. They say it's accurate, but it says it will check that if it is a human written essay versus a bot written essay. So you can play around with that and see. And again, if you just type these into a Google search, it will populate those. Common Sense Media, is it plagiarism, and then the Common Lit AI writing check. And then again, we've always had the version history, but this is how you can monitor the content added for your students to make sure they're not at that top level, that number 7, and they're just copying and pasting directly from ChatGPT. Okay, so I am going to end there. Thank you so much.